Imagine this: you sit down after a long, exhausting day. You scroll for a few seconds, and then you press play on a show you've already watched. Every scene, every line, every ending, you already know it. And yet, somehow, it feels comforting, safe, familiar. Almost like coming home. Now, here's the real question. Why do millions of people rewatch the same shows and movies again and again, even when there's endless new content waiting? What is the brain actually searching for in repetition? And what does this habit quietly reveal about our emotions, our stress levels, and even our personality? By the end of this video, you may look at your comfort show very differently. And if topics like this fascinate you, you're in the right place. This is Silent Psychology, where we explore the quiet patterns of the human mind. If you enjoy deep, calming psychology content like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel within the first minute. It really helps the channel grow and keeps content like this coming your way. Now let's slow down and step inside the psychology of rewatching. At first glance, rewatching seems boring. The story holds no surprises. The plot twists are no longer twists. But the human brain doesn't always crave excitement. In fact, when life feels unpredictable or overwhelming, the brain craves the opposite: certainty. Familiar stories create a psychological safe zone. When you already know what will happen, your nervous system can finally relax. There is no tension about outcomes, no anxiety about unexpected turns. Your brain gets permission to rest. This is why people often rewatch shows during stressful periods of life: breakups, burnout, loneliness, anxiety, even happiness that feels too intense. Familiar stories gently regulate emotions. They act like emotional background music, keeping feelings steady instead of chaotic. There's also something deeper happening. Rewatching gives us a sense of control. Real life rarely follows a predictable script. But movies and shows do. When you press play, you choose the emotional journey. You know when the conflict will appear, when it will peak, and when it will resolve. That predictability gives the brain a subtle feeling of power, something many people lack during stressful phases of life. Interestingly, people who rewatch content are often emotionally intelligent. They're not running away from reality, they're self-soothing. Just like a child holding a favorite blanket, adults use familiar stories to feel grounded. The brain releases dopamine, not from surprise, but from recognition. The moment a familiar scene begins, the mind whispers, "I know this, I'm safe here." Another reason rewatching feels so satisfying is emotional memory. Shows and movies become time capsules. When you rewatch something, you're not just watching the story, you're revisiting the version of yourself who watched it before. The place you were in, the person you were with, the emotions you felt at that time. Rewatching becomes a form of emotional time travel. This is why certain shows hit differently at different stages of life. A comedy you once watched for laughs may later feel nostalgic. A romantic movie may feel painful or comforting depending on your current emotional state. The content stays the same, but you don't. And that contrast creates a powerful emotional experience. People who rewatch also tend to be highly reflective. They notice details others miss. On the second or third watch, the brain shifts from what happens next to why is this happening. Subtle expressions, hidden meanings, emotional cues all become clearer. Rewatching allows deeper emotional processing, almost like rereading a favorite book and discovering new layers each time. There's also a social and identity aspect. Comfort shows often become part of how people define themselves. This show understands me. This character feels like me. When someone rewatches, they're reconnecting with a version of themselves they recognize. In a world that constantly demands growth and change, familiarity feels grounding. But here's something most people don't realize. Rewatching is also linked to mental energy. New content requires effort, new characters, new plots, new emotional investments. When the brain is tired, it chooses efficiency. Familiar stories require less cognitive energy, making them perfect for evenings, late nights, or emotionally heavy days. This doesn't mean people who rewatch lack curiosity. It means they understand their limits. They know when to explore and when to rest. That balance is actually a sign of emotional maturity. Another fascinating layer is how rewatching supports emotional regulation. When we feel overwhelmed, the brain searches for patterns. Familiar stories offer predictable emotional arcs. The beginning, the conflict, the resolution, all known. This predictability helps stabilize mood and reduce anxiety. It's not escapism, it's emotional maintenance. If you've ever noticed that you rewatch more during certain seasons of life, that's not random, it's psychological timing. The brain intuitively knows what it needs. Sometimes, that need is growth. Other times, it's comfort. Now let's talk about guilt. Many people feel guilty for rewatching. They think they're wasting time or avoiding something. But psychology suggests the opposite. Rewatching can actually help people process emotions they don't yet have words for. It creates a gentle emotional container, allowing feelings to surface safely. In silent psychology, we often talk about how the quiet habits reveal the loudest truths, and rewatching is one of those habits. It whispers stories about stress, nostalgia, emotional intelligence, and the human need for safety. Toward the end of a familiar show, something interesting happens. Even though you know the ending, you still feel something. Sometimes relief, sometimes sadness, sometimes warmth. That's because the brain isn't reacting to surprise, it's reacting to meaning. The meaning you've attached to the story over time. This is also why people rewatch even when they're happy. Familiar stories don't just comfort pain, they anchor joy. They remind us who we are when life feels fast and fragmented. As this video slowly comes to an end, take a moment to think. What is your comfort show? What phase of life did it first appear in? And what does it still give you today? If this video made you reflect, share it with someone who always rewatches the same shows. They might finally understand themselves a little better. And I'd love to hear from you. Comment below and tell me the one show or movie you can watch again and again without getting bored. Your comment helps this community grow and keeps conversations alive. If you enjoyed this calm, thoughtful exploration, make sure you resubscribe to Silent Psychology and don't forget to like and share the video so more minds can find this space. Sometimes, the stories we return to aren't holding us back. Sometimes, they're quietly holding us together.